Hello, hypothetical viewers. I hope you are excited to start a new adventure with Wandering Dragon. We are back on Shining Force CD. I previously recorded the first two books, which you can see here. Book 1 is called Towards the Root of Evil, and Book 2 is called The Evil God Awakes, Shining Force Gaiden, and Shining Force Sarpaja. I had read that there was a third and fourth book of this game, but which were supposed to unlock when you beat the first two, but unfortunately when I first played through these, I was only using save states to save the game, and obviously that is a problem because when you actually clear the books, when you beat each of the games, the Shining Force CD needs to like save the fact that you beat it to enter backup or whatever. So I looked up how to do it correctly and create a RAM cart for the game, etc. Was still a wrinkle because I still couldn't get the two of them to unlock, so I googled around a bit. Apparently, you just need to go back and to your two save files, hopefully you save both, and just clear the last battle again for each of them, and that lets the game, don't ask me why, I'm sure it has something to do with the emulation and how inner backup is stored, but in any case, we can finally start Book 3, a new challenge. And Book 4 is unlocked after we beat Book 3 if we got the museum tickets in sort of Haja, which you may remember as picking up at the end of Chapter 1 in a well. And at the time, you may have recalled that I was confused as to why at the end of the game we didn't get a special cutscene. In the original Game Gear version of the game, picking up the museum tickets would let you watch the characters' sprites dance around and after the credits, basically. It was just a fun, silly extra. But here, they made it the unlock for the fourth book. So they did have a purpose. This is a sequel. You know, how the hell could it not be a sequel? Because you can't unlock it unless, I guess it's like, do you want to use save data? I'm actually a little, this is a very front-loaded episode, lots of front matter here, but I had, in order to do this, I had to go back and replay the entire game. I could have avoided replaying the first book, probably because I could have just used the save game order, but it was stored on inner backup, and I wanted to start the game on the cartridge. Yeah, actually, now that I think of it, when you save, it doesn't ask you like which file or anything. It just you create a file and then it saves to it automatically. But in any case, I replayed through both books, and I actually got everyone to quite a bit higher level. But I didn't do quite as much absurd grinding for Book 1 because it turns out in Book 2, in that last map, the enemy Ion Doll gives you a lot of XP even when you're very high level. So it was pretty easy to just max everyone out. Everyone at level 20. In Book 1, they're all around like 14, 15, which is still pretty crazy for this game. That's not what the developers intended, but I'm a little sad we don't get to grab Book 2 here. I guess you can only have Book 1 as the sequel, maybe. It will be a sequel to this. Oh, we get to grab both! Oh, I'm so happy. I spoke too soon. You can see here, main character is level 20. I went a little crazy with that one. I replayed through both entire games, grinded everyone up to level 20, and then did even more grinding. I was, over the summer, I spent a while visiting my parents, and there's not so much to do. They live kind of in the middle of nowhere, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do a bunch of level grinding in this game. Just lose my mind doing that. To be honest though, I did actually really enjoy it because I really love these old Shining Force games, so it's not so bad. I'm very proud of all the good level ups I got. Then I may know some of the characters in it, because the Book 3, it's another story which includes characters from both the first two. Let's just play it on easy, why not? I have no idea what the difference is with the difficulties, if it just increases enemy stats or if there's actual AI differences, but as usual. Fair enough, we played on easy difficulty for both of the other two books of this game. Now let's enjoy the story together. Hypothetical viewers, let's enjoy this story together. I believe it is shorter than the first two books. You know, it's kind of just a post-game story, but I think it's a little harder. So this is the Castle Guardiana, or no, this is Cypress Castle, isn't it? Yeah, where Prince Nick lives, with our party from Book of Sword of Haja. Here's Eric. Well, this must be my lucky day. Don't you think so, Jaha? I don't think I ever did voices for them. I agree. I want to attend the ceremony of Prince Nick's crowning. He's gonna become King Nick. Why are we on duty today? We worked hard for him in the battle against Ion. But you two always bungle everything. I love these three. What? Maybe I won't do voices of them. I don't know if I can come up with 3 distinct goofball dude voices. Ouch, don't do that. Dawn is just is just shunning them. She's like, I don't want any part in this. I love Sword of Aja. If Natasha was here. If you remember, Natasha and Ben set off on a journey together at the end of Starting Force Sword of Aja. I knew it. Luke, Jaha, Eric, you've left your posts. Despicable. Must she scold us like that? I'm gonna guess that's Mayfair. Oh, look, Natasha, Ben! Oh, maybe they came back. Between books or something. Hey, you came to the celebration? I didn't know you were coming. Yes, of course. I think I did do a voice for Natasha. This is a celebration for Prince Nick. Well, how have you been? I think I just did a breathy, high-pitched voice for her. Fine, thank you. Maybe I should do voice for her. Welcome back, Natasha. I'd like to talk, but you should go into the palace now. Prince Nick and guests from Guardiana are all in the hall. Thank you. See you later. I'll show them the hall. Please take care of my post, Eric. Dawn immediately ditched them. Ooh, Dawn's going too. Okay, let's get back to work. Oh, who is this? This is a new character. Hee hee, where is the crowning ceremony? They seem like some sort of mysterious elderly person. Excuse me, can you show me your invitation? Is this gonna be one of those, like fucking Sleeping Beauty, like she's the fairy that wasn't invited and now she wants to murder us? I can't, I wasn't invited, but I should have been. One of those people appears to be carrying a giant mallet. That's badass. Well, only invited guests can attend the ceremony and the party thereafter. I see, I see. Okay, I'm going. Ha-ha! Going inside, that is. Ha! Oh dear, so this is a magical person. You're not very experienced, are you? Churao, come on. Yes, Dava. So that middle person is Dava, and this is Churao, whose blinking animation, the timing of it seems slightly wrong. It just doesn't seem like that's the pace at which people blink. Blinking animations are hard, I'll acknowledge this. I had to make one once, and animating is not my thing. It was difficult. And here's Queen Henri. Let me start the crowning ceremony of Prince Nick. This is Gaiden, the Beast Man. Aw, so many friends are here. Look at everyone. They're so happy. Yee. What? Unfortunately, this crew is gonna just ruin things for us. Crowning of whom? Me? They just all get out of the way. They're like, oh well, I guess we should let them through. What did he do? He just defeated the small devil, and they flattered him as a hero of Shining Force. A hero of Shining Force, not of the Shining Force. Stop that. What a rude old woman. Calling her old is probably, to her face, is probably a little rude too, Ken. What? Did you call us rude? This guy's... He's got a giant mallet. He, like, I was gonna say maybe he's like he looks like he could be a lumberjack, but he doesn't have an axe, he has a mallet. This is the Palace of Cyprus. Stay back. Henri's like, Ken, this isn't our palace. You can't just bust in here. And that's Bulldor, I guess. You too, Bulldor. Stop it. We still haven't heard the other woman say anything. We don't know what her name is yet. Who are you? She's all like, Ken, this isn't our palace, don't say anything. But then she's like, also, I'm gonna take charge here. My name is Dava. I'm just a very, very old woman. I heard that Prince Nick is becoming the king of this country. So I came all the way to see if it is the right choice. Ha! Uh-oh. This crowning ceremony is not going very well. Once again, poor Queen Henri gets zapped with all the spells. First she got put to sleep, then this happens. Queen, oh no! She's just like the sandbag for everyone else. She's just body blocking. It's like, Henri, you're the mage, not the tank. I'll let you be the king if you can save Queen Henri. If you are brave enough to do it, come to my place. Hee hee. Oh. Once again, Queen Henri is final chapter. I guess there's only one chapter in this little game, so this is the final one. Nick and his force left for Dava's mansion to rescue Queen Anri and to preserve the name of the Cyprus royal family. Oh, very spooky gravestones. What? I think she had a British accent vaguely originally. What a weird mansion. Graves. Lots of graves. And who's that? A werewolf? A zombie? Don't push me, Eric. What do you mean? I'm over here. Didn't you just push me? What? Then who pushed me? Oh dear. Some epilepsy warnings again. Zombie! Oh, and it's some evil clouds. More zombies. All sorts of monsters. Apparently there was a bat buried in that grave. The great thing is that it's like, not all the things that appeared as zombies. One of the things that came out of the grave was a giant bat. So apparently they buried a bat in the cemetery. Nick, be careful. Zombies are coming out of the graves. I think he can see that, Gaiden. Okay, here's our first battle, I guess. Our party is kind of a mix of both. So we've got Sarah. Sarah was in the second game. Or actually, she was in both. So I don't know if when you have both, if it like, you have like a combination of the two. Because she was only at level 20 in my Shining Force Sword of Haja save. So maybe you get a bonus for the levels you had in the first game as well. Unsure. Here's Dawn. It must be the case because Dawn is at her level that we last had her at. Here's Eric. We don't have the equipment they had. We had high-end end-game equipment. We just have normal stuff now. And we've got Luca Monk, of course, and Jaha. And Ben. And we have Natasha already over here. You can see that I managed to finally... I have, like, not gotten... In any of the Game Gear games, I actually managed it in Shining Force 2, but in the Game Gear games, I never got anyone high up enough level to have the 4th level spells. I finally did with Natasha. And my assessment would be, it's a great spell, but you have to grind so much and get to such a high level to get it that it you would never see it unless you went out of your way. But basically it looks like we have our starting party from Shining Force Sword of Haja, you know, our little crew, and then we also have Wendy, Roos, and Shade, who are not the entire starting party, but and Nick, of course. So we have a good chunk of the starting party from Gaiden. It's funny, Nick is level 18. He was only level... Oh, again, it's probably because he was higher level in Shining Force Sword of Haja. He got to level 18 in that game, so I guess it's like he got the higher of the two. Okay, and he has the Buster Sword. Interesting. And we have a good chunk of our starting party from the Gaiden. So we have sort of the two games combined. And then we randomly have Claude, who was not a starting party member in either game, but I guess maybe because he was in both games, it's like he'll be one of our recurring party members. He is one of my faves, so that's good. So that's interesting. We have very... I'm assuming that the game's going to be terribly difficult, since you could... You're using your end game stats. So... The Dava Born, I guess because like Dava summoned them. They do have high stats. And then we have the Dava Zombie. And the Dava Pixie with Blaze 3. Oh, and what's this up here? The Dava Ghoul. And I'm sort of assuming more might appear as we go on. I've not looked up anything about this game. I guess let's just leap on in. This may be a long episode because we had the whole opening cutscenes of the game. It's interesting, you can actually walk on the gravestones. I never know which objects in these games you're going to be allowed to walk on and which not, because sometimes things block you that you don't think should. As usual, I absolutely love the battle background, like the tombstones, the spooky mansion in the back. It's very evocative. It has like kind of a gorgeous like retro horror gamey feel. I'm enjoying this so far because I feel like it's Shining Force Sword of Haja in particular definitely had some recurring like slapstick comedy elements in addition to its more serious story elements. And I like that this is obviously kind of combining the two and continuing that trend where it's like, we have been attacked by these mysterious people who kidnapped the queen, so that's a problem, but it's still sort of a little goofy, and like the three of them getting surprised by the zombies, there's still a little lightheartedness. So I kind of like the, almost like a spoof of a horror movie spoof, which is pretty fun. Ooh, more stuff is appearing as I thought. Oh dang. This whole graveyard is getting smashed to bits. Dava bat. Lots of Dava. Dava born. Dava zombie. Man, we could really get overwhelmed here. There's not a lot of terrain on the map, and we're getting surrounded. This is a timed mission. So we can actually, we'll finally get to show up Blaze level 4, because in my main playthrough that I actually recorded, I never got it. It does quite a lot, as you can see, and she's got enough MP to use it like 6 times a map. Not bad. But it also has to be admitted. Our melee attackers can also do that good, and they can do that every turn if they want. So it's one of those things where it's like, does it save them from the misery of just being outright inferior to the melee characters? Yes. They finally have an attack that's just as good, and it's not affected by defense, so that's, you know, that's still something. But since they're limited by MP, it is still a little bit like, huh. I mean, in a lot of maps, maybe you'll never manage to use all of them if it's a long map that you're kind of walking through, so it'll be fine, but it's hard to say, even when you get their very best spell and make them as strong as you possibly could, it's hard to say that they're great. At best, they're as good as the melee characters for a limited amount of time. Yeah, her attack is a little slow, just have her fight here for now. And for Wendy, since she's only level 13, I did not grind. Basically, the only reason I went nuts with signing for sort of Haja and got everyone to 20, I knew that this book carried over stats with the characters that are from the previous games. So I was like, there's some reason to do it. It's not arbitrary. And also, while I was trying to grind them a bit just to make them decent for this book, I noticed what absurdly good exp the Iom doll gives. I can only assume on that map, the Iom doll appears continuously throughout for the entire map. It keeps coming back. It respawns. And I kind of figured they put them there in case you accidentally underleveled your party and couldn't beat the boss. It's there so that you have some hope of grinding, because otherwise there's not very much on the map. And it's really good for that. It keeps giving you like 50 exp even as you're at level 19. So I was like, at that point, I was like, well, it's so easy to do. It would almost be silly not to, and I do enjoy a good level grind. So, but Shining Force Gaiden didn't have any enemy that was quite as good. I could have grinded them up more. I mean, I also think it's that I did that one first, so I don't know, my like grinding instincts got triggered by the end of the second game. I went a little more insane. But yeah, I was like, in the first game. I got them pretty, I mean, level 14 and 15 is still quite good, right, for endgame stats, but I just wasn't as motivated to like really push all the way to the finale, like big level 20, because it wasn't as easy to do, so it was like, is it really worth the trouble? So, but unfortunately, for most of the characters, that's not a big deal. I think they're pretty much still fine. Like, the stat difference isn't like, oh, they're just outright worse. But for the mages, unfortunately, it does mean that for our sort of, for our Gaiden mages, the Book 1 mages, they're not very good. Because the level 3 spells just do not keep them competitive with the melees. And even for, like, poor Natasha, Mayfair doesn't actually get a level 4 spell, I discovered, so... Or no, that's not true. She doesn't get level 4 freeze. She gets level 4 bolt, which is also insane. That's the one where I'm like, this makes sense because it's very expensive. You can't use it many times per map, but it does absurd damage. So you're like, this is balanced. Whereas Blaze, you're just like, huh. So at best, it does have range. There's that, but it's like at best you're just as good as the melee characters for 6 attacks. Even more enemies. Jeez. They can even come out of the grave you're standing on. Is it timed? Like, seriously, I'm like... I don't know if we have to... this might be defeat the boss. There is that one enemy up at the top who's different. But who knows? Maybe it's just defeat them all. I wanna... See, now I'm running into the dilemma of like, oh, do I use up all of our wizard's X? She's actually not that far behind the book 1 characters in attack because she's so absurd. I'll just have her bap it for now. Just, you know, if more enemies are coming, we'll have some people. Although, actually, I gotta say, I don't think it doesn't look like an enemy appeared on the grave Sarah was standing on. I thought it would just appear like next to her or something, but it seems that it just didn't spawn. So maybe you just gotta stand on top of the graves, and that blocks the spawn or something. Sure, he can attack. We'll try and finish off the magic user. Oh, I forgot he has a ranged weapon. I didn't have to stand next to it at all. In the final battle, he had a one ranged weapon, so I. This is just muscle memory. Wendy can just attack. She might defeat this. Yeah, that'll be fine. She's a little bit of the weak link here because she only has Blaze 3. Natasha could do as much as Blaze 3 with her regular attack. I grinded arguably too much. Yeah, I think, if I remember, this book is only 6 chapters. So this will be short. And then, the book 4 is just a single bonus battle that's just super hard. So that'll all be part of this same Shining Force CD content that's unique to CD as opposed to the 2 remakes. I also gotta say, I'm doing this after just finishing the Shining Force Final Conflict LP, and so I have spent so long looking at just Game Gear sprites, because that was a Game Gear game, that now looking at this I'm like, my god, everything is so detailed, the movement is so smooth, this is insane. It seems like so much, even though this is also a quite old game, it's not like it's some kind of like, you know, it's like, oh, it's PS5 graphics or something. But in comparison, I'm just like, oh my god, it's amazing. I actually do think the graphics are very nice looking, I will say. They're very beautifully sprited. But yeah, it's just funny, like because at first because I had played the 2 books of this before Shining Force Final Conflict. So then when I turned on Conflict at first, I was like, God, the sprite work. It's like, how did as a kid, I played Game Gear games and I thought they were great. Like, was I out of my mind? But by the end of that, you know, it's like you adapt, right? You just get used to whatever you're looking at. So by the end of that, I didn't think it looked bad at all. I was like, yeah, this is what it's supposed to look like. And now it's like, oh, the change is shocking. So I don't know whether this enemy, it's like, it appeared because it was blocked previously by Sarah, so it's like, it's just stored until it can appear, or whether they'll just appear endlessly, and we just have to get to the top of the map. It's not clear. Although I will say, if they appear endlessly, like, well, it wouldn't, you could always egress, I guess, but, that's a good question. Which of our main characters is the main character? Do they both have egress? They both have egress. Natasha, doesn't she have it also? So, this is a rare final Shining Force party. We have 3 separate people with egress. In most games, you only have 1. Haja was the only one where you had 2 because the party splits at one point. So then in this one, because it's using the characters from the other games, it's just like, oh, you have so many. So many opportunities to flee if needed. But yeah, this battle, maybe part of the reason it just has, it's kind of a big open area with lots of enemies, is that just in case either you didn't transfer save data, in which case I have no idea what levels the characters start at. I don't know, it's some fixed amount, I guess. And they're not quite up to par, or you did transfer save data, but maybe some of the characters in the party that you get here are not the characters you took to the final battle and weren't leveled up very much. This could be your chance to catch them up. Just in case. That way you're not totally doomed and don't have... Oh, you get a running memento too. Geez, that's nice. That increases your move. Like your amount of squares you can move. It's a very good item. Then yeah, this might be like the level up battle. Where it's like, did you mess up and, you know, you transferred your save data, but now you realize that the party you were given is not the party you trained the most? Don't worry, you can level grind. That way you don't have to, because otherwise, if you wanted to transfer data at all, you'd have to go back and redo the previous one to get a new, you know, save data to play it from. Which, I will say, that would take a really long time, because the thing is, I replayed this with this emulator, right, where I can use the speed up function. If you don't have that, it would take a long time. They're not short games, you know? Oh yeah, man. This one is like very epilepsy warning. after the previous game, when we did Final Conflict, it didn't have as much. Whereas this in the first battle, it's like, oh, it's all flashing lights all the time. Dang. Sega Genesis in general had a lot of things with flashing lights. I guess back in the day, you know, graphics weren't as advanced, so it was like, how can we show that a shocking event is happening? There's only so many tools in our toolbox. Dava Ghoul. So it's a little stronger than the other ghouls. I'm assuming it is the boss. And we should start attacking it. Because it's not approaching us. So, yeah, I guess it's just like enemies keep spawning and you have to actually go over to it. It won't come to you. Luckily, we have a lot of powerful characters with high movement range. New Game Plus is always, it always is pretty fun to like, you know, you train the characters the whole game, you get them all the way to the end game. It is pretty fun to then have something interesting to do with them. Since she has more than enough MP, like she can cast this twice, let's cast a nice Aura 4. Just show off how Sarah got her full spell list. Look at all those fairies just healing everybody up. This lovely heroic Shining Force music in the background. I love that too. Shining Force has such good music. And Shining Force CD, I feel like, is the most triumphant version of all these songs. I'm like, oh. They like, I don't know if it's a remaster or what, but they did such a good job remixing them or whatever for this game. But yeah, I really love when you get New Game Plus. So like, you spend all that time training up the full party, and then it's like you get them to the point where you fight the final boss, and it's like, oh, we only really fight one battle with them at their peak. And it's like, now we can take all these characters that we worked so hard on out for another little adventure. We get to enjoy all of the levels we worked so hard to earn. Very good. Alright. Wow, even with the long cutscene at the opening, we're not too bad on time here. Now I know that you are just barely strong enough to defeat my zombies. I don't know if barely is the right word. But now you have to defeat my 3 followers before you meet me. Ha! I bid you welcome. Enter my mansion at your own discretion. That's an interesting way to put that. To be honest, I think I would probably put it like at your own peril or your own risk or something, rather than discretion is sort of like your own discretion. It's like, oh, you can choose it for yourself, you know, based on your judgment. It doesn't sound quite threatening enough. At your peril would sound like a little more ominous. Nick, please be careful. We only just turned your arm back to normal from stone, so don't go messing it up again. I guess he didn't bring the sword of Haja or whatever with him, because he only has the Buster sword. Wow, what the heck is happening here? Is everyone just like... Are they on the floor because they're poisoned or because they're drunk? I can't tell because the barrels are spilling green. Ooh, what is this room? The music implies something silly is going on, so I'm going to assume they're drunk rather than dying. Everybody has passed out. Boy, they smell. Yeah, they seem like they're probably drunk. Oh, hello. Come over here. I won't hurt you. Sit down next to me, right here. Leave me alone. Hey, dude, she's gonna cast hell and blast you into oblivion. She's like very high level. Mayfair, are you okay? Good. Gaiden and Mayfair are besties. We had a party while waiting for you. Who's our first boss gonna be? Oh, it's this guy. He was like named Chow or something, right? We saw his name once, I don't remember it. Is he staggering around because he's drunk, or is that a dance? Or both? Man, was that a party. I'm so tired. You took a long time arriving. Yawn. Gee, that's too bad, as you'll need a full night's sleep to have a chance to beat us. Ha! Don't mock us. We're not beginners. We fight like berserkers even when tired. I'm kind of wondering if, because it's an old game, right? And old Nintendo games tended to have the translation a little bit cleaned up to, like, I don't know, protect the youth or whatever, some dumbass thing like that. And so I wonder if him saying, oh, we had a party, we're all really tired, is the translation of him being like, we're all really hungover. Because they're clearly not tired. They're clearly either currently drunk or they were drunk and now they're really regretting it. Like they're tired. Anyway, you cannot enter the next room unless you defeat us. Now, come on. Yawn. Especially the fact that they're like staggered and stuff. It really. So I guess we're not gonna be able to switch out our characters. It's just we got the party we got. And we're still poisoned in the last battle too. Maybe we can use detox. Well, I guess at least we have some characters who could theoretically level up, so it's like not totally pointless to try and get the levels. So let's take a look and then we'll wrap. So basically we have a big ol', I guess, banquet hall here. It's actually quite a large map, so even though this game is very short, I guess, like, you know, they did make all the maps pretty substantial though, so that it's not, you know, it's not nothing. They appear to have been feasting all night. Let's see, we've got... Interesting, I do not seem to be able to click on these opponents. Like when I press the cursor on them, it acts as though it's in an empty square. Oh, some of them. So maybe, okay, I'm wondering if what's going to happen is that it's sort of like the last one where more enemies kept appearing. More and more of them will, like, snap out of their hangover and be able to fight us. Yeah, looking carefully, look at these two dwarves next to each other. This dwarf is slightly grayed out. His portrait, like, is desaturated. And this one is not, the groggy dwarf. So maybe more and more of them will join the fight as we go on. That's kind of an interesting mechanic. So it's kind of like the faster you go, the less enemies you fight, but you can also stay and fight more if you want. Got the Bowmaster, some more Davanites. Oh, got a wizard here. The Necromancer with Freeze 3. That's gonna be tough. And a Berserker Knight. Oh, with Muddle. Oh god. Fighting enemies with Muddle is the odds. The worst. Dark Priest always got a healer by the boss, and he's also got a spare Davenite. Oh, because he has boost, so they can make him stronger. He must be a physical attacker. Chu-Rao, that was his name. I knew it was something. Either that or I misspoke and called him Chow because I combined the two. I actually don't remember, but I knew it had an AO. He's Chu-Rao. 99 HP, so he's quite tanky. Good attack and defense, so he's a basic physical attacker. So this should be interesting. I guess we're just gonna plow forward and see what happens. So, this has been the first episode for Shining Force CD Book 3. The plot has kicked off to an exciting start with poor Henri kidnapped again. This random old woman, Dava, demanding that Prince Nick prove that he's worthy of the throne. And some of the starting party members from both of the previous books coming together to go and solve this mess. So first, in this episode, we fought a whole army of zombies busting out of their graves, and now we're gonna fight an army of people who are really hungover, led by a guy who's also really hungover. So this is actually great so far. It's extremely silly. Thank you for watching, hypothetical viewers, and I hope you'll look forward to the next episode of Shining Force CD, where we're gonna beat up some drunk people.